Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I created three tank treads, and if I play this, you can see that it's working fine. And by the way, these three looks similar, but actually I created in a different method. So the first one I use a wire deformation. The second one I use the motion path. And the third one I used the mesh, which is going to be this one here. So I use different method to create those tank threads, and actually there's more other ways you can create tank threads in Maya. So you can use IK Spline or Follicle or any other ways you can do. There's so many ways you can create a tank thread. And if I just pause this for a second, and if I zoom in a little bit more closer, you can see that the first one and the second, third one seems a little bit slightly different. Maybe I'll just rotate this. Maybe I'll just move my time slider a bit here. Okay, this shows the part that looks very different. You can see that this is more rigid compared to this. This is more softer. Like the reason why is because this geometry is going to be deform the shape as the curve, how the curve is covering this area here. And here, actually, this one is going to be more solid, rigid, and it's not going to bend the shape here. So just keep in mind that when you are doing wire deformation, there might be some shape changes. So there might be some stretches, squash going on to the geometry. And if you don't want that, if you want to avoid that, then you might have to use the motion path or the mesh to create this. And yeah, there's a lot of other functions, like for example, for mesh you can even select the control verts so that it's going to just rotate the area that need to be rotated, like something like that. And yeah, very neat feature that actually we cannot do for motion path here. For motion path, you can use a locator to rotate all the thread here, but that's pretty much it. And by the way, maybe there are some good parts on the motion path. For example, I just created one controller here. You can use like the mesh here and the mesh here is totally a different thing. You can pick one mesh individually here if you're using motion path, because each mesh is, if I just hide this geometry for a second, you can see that uh, joints are surrounded, joints are controlled onto the curve here. So I just added those geometry on top of that joint so that we have more freedom to take it out, take apart. It's more intuitive to make something like a broken tank tread with some parts that are flying out from the tank tread. But this one mesh, if you use mesh, it's going to be one single mesh, something like instance. But yeah, I'm not really sure about this, but there might be a way to separate pieces and just make some parts blow away from this area here. Okay, so first I'm going to go with the wire deform, and yeah, you can see that First thing what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create simple cylinder for the gear, or maybe we can call it a wheel for the tank. And I just set a controller here, created a controller and just made this part rotate, and I even made a limitation on 40 to -40. And yeah, that's 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 pretty much it for creating this one, the geometry. So why don't we get started?